Alright guys, I got here today a Citadel Pat 12. So a 3-inch chamber, as you can see there, so you can run 2 3/4 inch or 3-inch shells. It comes with this pre-mounted Picatinny rail here with ghost ring sights with the fiber optic front there. So you got, most of y'all know what a ghost ring is there, so like that. Really like those sights on shotguns. You got a rubberized pistol grip here. You do have a little bit of a rubber butt pad there. Push through safety, crossbow, whatever the heck you guys would call that. There's your safety on that. Your pump release is right up there. Again, I'm probably misstating what that's called, but you all know what I mean. So some shotguns are back in here. This one's up there. Pump action, of course, 4+1 capacity, and you got a little tack rail here on the front of your pump for like a little light or something like that for home defense. Of course, prices can vary, but I literally paid $149.99 for this, so about as cheap as you can get for a tactical shotgun there. I've seen a few a little bit lower, but they are all black, so this is certainly the only one you can, at least as of now, that I'm aware of, that you can get in this nice two-tone, if that's your sort of thing, which for me it is. I like it in some guns for 150 bucks there. So that said, it is obviously a cheap shotgun, so I wasn't quite sure what to expect. However, I will say in handling this, it's a lot better. I don't know if quality is the right word, but it feels like it's a lot better quality than what I would expect, at least for 150 bucks. I expected it honestly to be kind of a loose little rattle trap, and it's actually pretty tight. Really good ergonomics, at least for me, being 5'9". Still, I think if you're quite a bit taller than that, it's still going to be pretty comfortable for you there. Which, by the way, 20-inch barrel, I believe. If I'm wrong about that, I'll post it up. But I believe that's what it is. It's a 20-inch barrel instead of like a 18.5 like some other tactical shotguns. But yeah, it's real tight. Nothing real loose and rattling like I expected. Everything seems pretty high quality, honestly, except for the barrel and maybe this little lock nut here. So every long gun in my collection, including shotguns, and this may not mean anything to any of you anyways, but if you tap on the barrel, you just get kind of a thud, whereas with this, you get this metallic pinking sound. Okay, so I believe that's some sort of alloy, so I'm going to say that it's probably not as strong. I know, kind of an oxymoron there, because generally alloy metals are stronger. However, in today's world, alloy a lot of times just means steel costs too much, so they throw something else in there so they can produce it cheaper, which actually means that it's not as strong. So the barrel just feels and sounds real cheap to me. I'm like I said, I'm pretty sure it's some sort of cheap alloy there, and it's also very thin. If I can get this thing to focus, which it doesn't seem like. There you go. It's definitely real thin there, and the finish on it is, and we are empty, guys, by the way. Nothing fancy about it there. It's just like it almost just looks like conduit, to be completely honest. And that's actually kind of what it feels like and sounds like. Now, obviously, it's a lot stronger than conduit, but that's the best way I can describe this. It feels cheap like conduit. That said, I'm sure it's, built to tolerances that it'll handle the pressures of 2 3/4 and 3-inch shells like it says it can use. I just think maybe no, I don't let any of my guns fall, but maybe if it fell just right, or you dropped it from high enough or something, you might get a dent or a bend in the barrel, because I don't think that barrel is very strong. But other than accidents and abusing it, I'm sure it's just fine. And while we're talking about the barrel there, this is a cylinder bore, and it's not threaded for any chokes or anything like that. But that's pretty standard with something low end like this. And up until a few years ago, that was standard on pretty much all tactical shotguns. Now, I'd love to throw some 3-inch through here to test for you guys, but I don't have any available. I will say I've seen a few other reviews on some other cheap shotguns, and generally after a box or two of those, sometimes they can start like rattling loose. Maybe things start falling off, or this or that breaks, or it jams. So while I'm sure it could handle a few 3-inch slugs, and I could be completely wrong, you could run 1,000 3-inch shells through it and it could be just fine. But personally, I would err on the side of caution and not use too many through here. I'm sure some here and there are not going to, hurt anything whatsoever. And like I said, it could go 1,000 rounds on 3-inch shells. But just personally, I would probably advise on something cheap like this to, as much as possible, stick to the 2 3/4 inch stuff. But like I said, if I had any 3-inch stuff, I would run some through for you guys, but I do not. What I have here is what you see. So we'll run this whole box of this birdshot, if you will, through it there by Federal. I got some double-aught buckshot from Wolf here. These are Fiocchi double-aught buck, and I got a few extra here. And then I got some slugs here to put through it as well. So we're going to shoot the birdshot close range here. Probably put buck on a target, and I'm not sure about the rifle range. But I'll take one slug on the target out here to see where it's hitting, see if I need to adjust my sights, which, by the way, windage and elevation adjustable, before I try to go, I don't know, 50 yards or so on the rifle range with the slugs, and see how it'll group them at 50 yards if I can get them on paper. But I think that's enough yapping, so I'm going to get her loaded up and we'll get to shooting. Alright, so we'll just start with the number 8 by Federal. So you got your standard loading gate there, which is metal, by the way, not plastic. There's 2, there's 3. Seems to load pretty easily. As soon as I say that, get a little hang up there. So I believe it's 4+1. Yep, definitely 4+1. So we'll go ahead and chamber that round. Safety on. That way we are 5+1 there. Alright. Might need my ears and actual safety glasses since we're shooting steel. Alrighty. Alright, so don't know how well you guys can see that, but right off the bat, jammed up on me and the shell nosedived. So it dipped down, so it didn't want to feed. And we still got one more in there, but it's not feeding out of the magazine. There it goes. So not off to a great start. We'll see if things loosen up when we shoot it some more here. Hey, it worked pretty good that time. Let's keep going. I find it kind of interesting that 8-shot doesn't have enough energy to knock some of those down. Hey, all right, it's working pretty good now. Alright, so she's running halfway decent now. I did have that one other hang up there trying to run real fast. But I will tell you guys, this shipped completely dry. And I know you're going to yell at me. But I didn't get the chance to lube it up or anything like that before bringing it out. And so this thing is just completely dry. I noticed like there's nothing in here anywhere. Everything is completely dry. The arms under the pump there are completely dry. So pretty confident after that first mag of break-in, it immediately started running pretty smooth. Pretty confident that if I just sprayed some lube in here so it wasn't completely dry like it is now, it would actually run pretty smoothly. Alright, so I just got this leaned up here because the ground is far too dry and hard for me to shove that into the ground there. So let's see. On this one here, I'm going to take a shot with birdshot. Just kind of see the pattern, but also to see if I need to adjust my sights. Over here, these were both previously hit with BB shot waterfowl loads. So that's what all those holes are, other than you got a couple like here that were from centerfire pistols from the other day. Got some there, and some there. Okay, so actually, since there's only 2 center fire shots here, I'm going to put double aught over here, and we'll put birdshot over here. And then on one of these, when I'm done doing that, I'm going to put a slug to see kind of where the sights are, see if I need to adjust them for the rifle range, try to reach out 50 yards with the slugs. All right, so I'll do the Federal 8-shot first, then some double aught, and then the slug. All right, so that slug gave me about twice the wallop of those other shells. I just shot this Fiocchi double aught here, and this pretty light load for a double aught. Some double aught kicks a lot, almost like a slug, but those just feel like birdshot. But with that said, the recoil pad, it handled it pretty well. So you'll probably see there was a vast difference in muzzle rise, but it felt pretty good, honestly. So even though it's a cheap shotgun, it's got a pretty good butt pad on it there for absorbing recoil. Also, that said, it's a little bit light, so recoil is multiplied by that, but most tactical shotguns are. This one's coming in about 6.5 pounds. So the sights actually look pretty close. Yeah, okay. So here's the birdshot, or my knees. Pretty centralized hit there. And then, so obviously this is the wad and this is the slug. So it looks like it's about dead, at least close range. Now that might change once we get out to the rifle range there. So sights are about dead on. And then you can see, again, 2 of these were some center fire shots that were already there, but you can see the pattern there from that double aught, which, by the way, that Fiocchi, it spreads pretty good. Remington buckshot I put through my other shotguns, they usually group about half as much there. So that's not necessarily indication of what the shotgun's doing, but rather the ammo. So more importantly, it grouped them still pretty nice, but if you get some better like buffered buckshot, your group's going to be about half that size from there. So that's a good thing for home defense, though. If you want your pattern a little wider, use the cheaper stuff, and usually the pattern's a little bigger on them. I'm going to finish out these 8-shot here, and then we're going to go down to the rifle range with it. Walk down the other bay here real quick for a little more exciting targets. Got 2 more shells here. Yeah, she's not running too bad at all there, guys. Like I said, it's bone dry, so I'm pretty confident that give it a good lube, that, and after a few rounds of break-in, I think this thing would be running 100% if it was lubed up there. I forgot I had a few cabbages from the video I just recorded prior to this one, so we'll take some double aught buck to these before we head down to the rifle range. All right, so we're at the rifle range now, guys. So I got my target set up there at 50 yards, and I'm just gonna put 3 slugs on the one on the left there, and hopefully it's on paper, and we can kind of get a rudimentary guess there of what it'll group at 50 yards with slugs. If you missed it in the beginning there, we're just using these standard Winchester rifled slugs there. All right, so I just have you guys zoomed in there so you can see in case I missed or anything like that. Like I said, it was pretty close at 7 or 10 yards back on the pistol base, so hopefully it's still close enough at 50 yards to hit the paper, and we'll see what she groups. That's smart, off the bag with those slugs and that light shotgun. Alright, I did see that at least the one there, the second shot, hit that top left target there, It looks like the third shot hit there as well, and so I'm not sure without reviewing the footage, but it looks like the first shot went a little lower and to the left. I will tell you guys that that front fiber optic front sight, even just there from 50 yards, it covered up about half of that human torso there. So not the most precise sights for shooting slugs accurately at 50 yards or beyond, but it got it done there. So my guess is probably going to be that one went low left there just because it was my first shot. I got accustomed to it, and then you got two right there next to each other. Regardless, even if it's not, that's still a decent group considering that that front sight's blotching out half of the target there. So obviously it's a little high left there, so I do need to come down some and to the right. But like I said, these are windage and elevation adjustable, so that's not a problem at all. I got this one slug left here, so how about we make a big splash with it? But hey, yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised with this thing. Like I said, I didn't really know what to expect for 150 bucks. It groups slugs pretty nice, given, you know, the sight that you're working with there is a little big. Of course, with this rail here, you could put a scope on it and go deer hunting with this thing with slugs, or, you know, anything 50, 75 yards. If you're a good enough shot, you'll be able to manage with that front sight. In which, let me see if I can actually get you guys a better look at that. I tried to show it earlier. So it's going to look a little different on camera. Obviously, you got that front fiber optic up there, and you just line it up in this rear sight here. Don't know how well I can do that on camera, but just basically like that. And as you can see, that's pretty big. Right where the gun's pointing right now is actually 150 yards out there. It's right next to the 150 yard mound. So that kind of gives you an idea there about how big that is. Let me see here. See if I can position it where I was just shooting there for you guys. So, you can kind of see how big that is on those targets down there, like I said. So it grew pretty decent considering that. So I don't know if you'd want to go much further than like 50 or 70 on a whitetail, because I think at 75 yards, that front sight there is going to cover the entire chest area of a whitetail. But with practice, you could certainly do it. But what I'm stating is great self-defense sight setup there. But what I'm saying is I could have grouped them even tighter if I had more precise sights on there or a shotgun scope. So the fact that I even did what I did down there is actually pretty dang good. But yeah, nothing fell apart on me. I think the only other thing I forgot to mention, the trigger, it's a little heavy. I'll throw the specs up if I can find it. But it did loosen up real quick. So I was messing with it at home and I was like, man, this thing's got a heavy trigger. And it also kind of rocks weird. But I gotta say, out here today, it didn't bother me at all. I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary. It just felt like a shotgun trigger. So I think it's a little stiff at first, but after you pull it 10, 15 times, at least on mine, it loosened up some to where it was softer. It's actually got a pretty good break. Let me see if I can demonstrate that real quick. All right, so of course we're empty here. There's no take up. That's just it right there. And we'll pull through. Yeah, there was like no creep whatsoever. Still a little on the heavy side, but generally shotguns run a little heavier. But the fact that it has no creep whatsoever, a nice crisp break, that's actually really good, especially for 150 bucks. And like I was hitting on earlier, guys, I brought this thing out completely dry, and that's not just an assumption. Like, I did check, it was literally dry. There's not a drop of oil in this thing anywhere. So you could see that after the first magazine, it actually ran pretty well. We had a few little hang-ups here and there, but I completely attribute that to it being completely dry. So a little lubrication in there, and I believe that this thing would have ran flawless all day, at least after a few shells of break-in. So that impressed me also for $150. Another thing too, I've been keeping an eye on it to see if any of these screws would come loose, you know, the sight would come loose, fall off, anything like that, and everything is still tight. So a lot of times that's what you'll have on these cheap shotguns, and even some that cost more, after a few shots, stuff starts rattling loose. So it's actually really impressive at this price point that nothing came loose on it. We probably shot close to 50 rounds through her, and everything's still tight. I would, of course, keep an eye on it going forward, but so far, so good. I did notice that on this side only, the pump just barely rubs on the side there, so you might have that. It's unfortunate, but it's not a deal breaker, not for $150. The pump's pretty comfortable. You do have a little bit of texture stuff here. It does give you a little better grip, but it's not super aggressive like M&P Series 2.0, for example. So you do have some texture in there that does help, but it's not super aggressive. I think that's going to do it, though. I'm actually really impressed with this thing. If you're going to buy a $150 shotgun, I would go with this one, because I've seen some reviews of the other cheap ones out there, and they didn't all go so well, at least not after a few boxes of ammo. And this thing just seems to be holding up well and performing pretty well. So this will be one of the, well, the only 12 gauge shotgun going forward here on the channel for some videos I have going up comparing 410, 20, and 12 gauge against different targets with different ammunition. So you'll likely see it again, and it'll definitely get some more use. But that's going to do it, guys. I want to thank you for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to hit that like button for me. If you want to get anything you see me use in the video, earmuffs, my bag there, target stand, targets, that one's pretty chewed up. I need to buy a new one. I've shot the crap out of that thing. Steel targets, anything like that and more. Links in the description. But again, really appreciate you watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.